I feel like I'm at my breaking point and just need to talk. It's about David, the bloke I've been seeing, and I need to get it all out because it's been on my mind day and night. It all started at a college event in Bristol, where we both study. I met David there. He's charming and funny, and we hit it off over our love for books and music. We started hanging out, going to book clubs together, and even playing music sometimes. At first, it felt perfect. I was on cloud nine because he seemed genuinely interested in me and my opinions. We spent hours chatting about everything from archaeology to obscure indie bands, and it felt like I'd found someone who truly got me. For the first few weeks, everything was bliss. We'd meet up in the evenings at this little café near the university, tucked away on a quiet street. We'd sit there for hours, drinking coffee, sharing our favorite books, and getting lost in conversations. One of my best memories is when we spent an entire Saturday exploring the Clifton Suspension Bridge and the surrounding area. It was magical. We laughed, took photos, and talked about everything under the sun. I felt so connected to him. But then, little things started to bug me. At first, I brushed them off as quirks or bad days. For example, at a book club meeting, I was sharing my thoughts on a book when David interrupted me mid-sentence, completely dismissing my point and steering the conversation towards his own interpretation. It felt like a slap in the face, but I shrugged it off anyhow. As we spent more time together, these quirks became more frequent. David often ignored my feelings and needs, focusing solely on himself. One evening, I was really excited to discuss a new book I had just finished. But instead of listening, David spent the entire time talking about his latest guitar project. It felt like my interests didn't matter to him at all. One particular incident stands out during our weekend trip to Bath. I planned the trip as a surprise for David because I knew he loved the history and architecture of the city. I booked us a cozy bed and breakfast, and I was so excited to share this experience with him. However, throughout the trip, David seemed distant and preoccupied. Instead of enjoying the sights and moments with me, he was constantly on his phone, texting and checking social media. When I tried to engage him in conversation, he gave me short, dismissive answers. It was heartbreaking because I had put so much effort into planning this trip for us. One evening, I wore a dress I absolutely loved to one of our meetups. Instead of complimenting me, David made a snide remark about how it wasn't really my style. It hurt more than I let on. Another time, we were at a friend's party, and I was talking with a group of people about a recent archaeological dig I had read about. David walked up, listened for a moment, and then said, "You know, sometimes you can be a bit of a know-it-all." I was mortified and felt so small in that moment. I've always believed in being there for people, but with David, it feels like a one-way street. Whenever he needs something, help with an assignment, someone to listen to his problems, I'm there. But when I need him, he's always busy or just not interested. Like that time, I was really stressed about an upcoming exam and needed some support. David was too engrossed in his music to even notice. There was another incident where I had to move apartments, and David promised he would help me. But on the day of the move, he was nowhere to be found. I ended up doing most of the heavy lifting by myself, and when I finally managed to get a hold of him, he casually mentioned that he had decided to jam with his band instead. Speaking of being there, or rather not being there, David has a knack for disappearing when I need him the most. I had a minor accident on campus one day and needed someone to take me to the clinic. David was nowhere to be found. He didn't even check on me later. It was as if my well-being didn't matter to him at all. Another time, I was really sick with the flu and bedridden for days. I thought David would come by and check on me, maybe bring some soup or medicine. Instead, he barely texted and didn't visit even once. Could I rely on him? I heard from a mutual friend that David has been speaking negatively about me behind my back. He says things like how I'm too sensitive or how I overreact to everything. It's hurtful and confusing because he never says these things to my face. It makes me question what he really thinks of me and whether he respects me at all. One of the most painful moments was when I overheard him talking to his friends at a party. They were joking about how clingy I was and how I always needed reassurance. It was devastating to hear that from someone I thought cared about me. All these behaviors have left me feeling stressed and anxious. I worry about what it would be like if we actually started a relationship. Would things get better, or would these issues become even more pronounced? My friends have started noticing changes in me. They say I seem more withdrawn and less confident. I've even started having trouble sleeping, constantly replaying these incidents in my mind and wondering what I did wrong. There was this one night when I couldn't sleep, and I decided to take a walk to clear my head. I ended up at the harbor, sitting by the water and thinking about everything that had happened. The moon was reflecting off the waves, and I felt so alone. I cried for hours sitting in a corner there. Another incident that really struck me was when we were supposed to meet for a study session at the library. I had been feeling overwhelmed with coursework and was really looking forward to having David there to support me. But he showed up an hour late, without any explanation or apology. When I tried to express how his lateness made me feel, he brushed it off, saying I was overreacting and being too sensitive. One of the hardest moments was during a group project. We were assigned to work together on a presentation, and I was excited because I thought we could make a great team. However, David barely contributed. He left most of the work to me and took credit for my ideas during the presentation. When our professor praised our project, David didn't even acknowledge my efforts. I remember another time when we were at a dinner party hosted by one of his friends. Throughout the evening, David kept making jokes at my expense, subtly putting me down in front of everyone. I tried to laugh it off, but it hurt deeply. Later, when I confronted him about it, he dismissed my feelings, saying I was being too sensitive and couldn't take a joke. It made me question my worth and my place in his life. During the winter break, we decided to take a trip to Scotland. I was excited about the trip, hoping it would be an opportunity for us to reconnect and enjoy some quality time together. But even during the trip, David seemed distant. He spent most of his time on his phone or working on his music. There was one night in Edinburgh when I planned a romantic dinner at a lovely little restaurant. David spent the entire evening talking about himself and his plans, barely asking about me or showing any interest in what I had to say. After returning from Scotland, I tried to talk to David about how I was feeling. Instead of understanding, he became defensive and accused me of being too demanding and expecting too much from him. That conversation left me feeling more isolated and confused than ever. One night, after a particularly tough day at school, I went over to David's place, hoping for some comfort and support. Instead, he was annoyed that I showed up unannounced and told me he was too busy to deal with my problems. I left feeling utterly defeated and alone. That night, I cried myself to sleep. I've started questioning everything. Was it something I did? Am I really too sensitive and demanding? Or is David just not the right person for me? These thoughts have been consuming me. I talked to my best friend about all this, and she was shocked. She said she had noticed changes in me over the past few months, how I had become more withdrawn and less confident. She urged me to think about what I truly wanted and whether this relationship was worth the emotional toll it was taking on me. Part of me clings to the good memories, the moments when David seemed perfect and everything felt right. But another part of me knows that I deserve better. Someone who respects me, appreciates me, and is there for me when I need them. I keep thinking back to our early days, like when we went to that indie concert together. It was one of the best nights of my life. We danced, laughed, and everything felt so right. I miss that, David. I'm at a crossroads, and I need to make a decision soon. Should I confront David about his behavior and hope things improve? Or should I walk away before I get in too deep?
Isabella, it's clear that you and David shared some wonderful moments together initially. Your shared love for books and music helped you connect deeply, and your early experiences created beautiful memories. These positive aspects highlight your ability to form meaningful and enriching connections. However, as your relationship progressed, certain negative behaviors and patterns emerged that have significantly impacted your well-being. David often disregarded your feelings and needs, focusing more on himself. His dismissive comments, lack of support during critical times, and tendency to criticize you in social settings indicate a lack of respect and consideration for you. These behaviors have left you feeling stressed, anxious, and less confident. The emotional toll of feeling unsupported and unvalued has affected your sleep and overall mental health. It's crucial to recognize that these patterns are not conducive to a healthy and fulfilling relationship. Every relationship, whether positive or negative, teaches us valuable lessons. The positive experiences you had with David show your capacity for love, joy, and deep connection. They are a testament to what you can bring to a relationship and what you can expect in return. However, the negative experiences have also provided you with crucial insights. They have shown you what behaviors and attitudes are unacceptable and what you truly need from a partner to feel valued and respected. Your experiences with David, both good and bad, are part of your journey. They help you differentiate what is healthy and supportive from what is detrimental to your well-being. Remember, you deserve a partner who respects you, values your opinions, and is there for you in times of need. Your life is built on a series of experiences, each teaching you something valuable about yourself and the world around you. Embrace these lessons and trust in your ability to make decisions that lead to a healthier, happier future. You have the strength and wisdom to navigate these challenges and find the support and love you deserve.